You know, if I didn't start out hardcore anti-EV, I'm starting to get there now. And I'm not getting there because I have a hatred of vehicles that are powered by electricity. That has nothing to do with it. I hate liars. I hate deception. And when I say I hate liars, you know, I'm not talking about the kind of lies that are just common in life, right? No, there's the fibs, right? Sometimes everybody's got to tell a fib occasionally, you know, to stay out of trouble, right? Oh no, officer, I didn't realize he was doing 85 and a 50. It's a fib, right? Sometimes you stretch the truth a little bit, you know, jobs, that sort of thing, want to get a better position. Hey, when people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them I'm a mechanic. I don't even tell them I'm a YouTuber. I tell them I'm a mechanic, right? Okay, it's a lie. It's a fib, right? It's not a big deal. And it's a social lubricant sometimes. Oh, you look great in that dress. Or, oh, you haven't changed in the 40 years since I last seen you, right? Yeah, okay, so some lying is just part of life. But when you're talking about out-and-out deception, when you're talking about blatant lies, out-and-out deception, the EV people have them locked. If their lips are moving, they're lying. So what brings me to this is this Luton Airport fire that happened in London last week. And I mentioned in the last video that I did that there was one scene where it's in the parking garage and it's a closed circuit camera on a floor beneath the fire. And then all of a sudden, the ceiling opens up and this fireball comes blowing through. I'm like, you know, the only thing that could do that is an EV. A gasoline fire could not possibly create that kind of heat. So there were no real facts involved. Let me just get this started. There were no real facts involved at the time. I'll get back to that in a second. As to what kind of vehicle it was, or when it started the fire, or why did this thing go so intense? Why did it take out 1,500 cars and destroy this parking structure? So the official report comes out that no, it wasn't an EV that started the fire. It was a Range Rover. It was a 2014 Range Rover that started the fire, and it was a diesel. So no, EVs are off the hook. Well, that's the official story. This is what the government is the fire department, the government is the story that they're giving you. But then a picture of this thing comes out. And yeah, it's a 2014 Range Rover, and it's clearly on fire. But it's not a black city under hood fire or anything like that. It's a very intense fire, and it's coming from the left side of the wheel, the left side of the car, behind the front wheel, underneath it. And it's an intense fire. Okay, 2-second Google search. Range Rover diesel hybrid. Well, the Range Rover diesel hybrid was introduced in 2013, went into regular production in 2014. And where did they put the battery, the lithium-ion battery, in a Range Rover diesel hybrid? You guessed it, right behind the left front wheel under the car, exactly where this fire was. Now, I'm not saying that that's the vehicle that fell through the ceiling, but I'm saying it wasn't diesel, it was an electric battery. It was a lithium-ion battery that sparked up, that spontaneously combusted, sparked up, and caused this fire. It spread to hundreds, 1,500 cars were lost in this fire. It spread through hundreds of cars. How many of them were EVs? I will guarantee the one that blew through the ceiling was an EV. So what we have over here is an example of what I'm talking about as far as not being able to find facts on things. What I have here is a piston filled with gasoline. Some gas in there, and I used a piston so that it could get some air in there. I wanted to get as high a temperature as possible. So there's gasoline burning, and this is just a piece of sheet metal, regular automotive sheet metal. So I wanted to get the temperature on this thing. What is the open air temperature of burning gasoline? I did a Google search, and it comes up at 2,500 degrees, which is preposterous. Under optimum circumstances, in an internal combustion engine, it'll reach 2,500 degrees. Not an open air fire, which is what this is, which is what you would have in a parking garage. So what is the temperature of this fire? Let's see what the temperature of this... Okay, what do we have here? We're at 600, 700... Okay. We haven't, there you go, 700. Now I'm going to save it as suspense. I've done this before, and it hit a maximum temperature of 850 degrees. This has been burning for a good long while now, and this is exactly representative of what an open air gasoline fire will generate. Okay, now you could throw some plastic in there, you could throw some car interior stuff. It's all going to be in that same ballpark range. And like I said, 850, let's call it 900 degrees. Let's say that an open air gasoline fire, like you would find in a burning car in a parking garage, is going to be 900 degrees. And I'm being really generous. Okay. How would a 900 degree fire burn through the floor of a parking garage? And here's another thing too. Notice, it's starting to die down now, but our temperature underneath this thing is only 166 degrees. The rest of the table, 104 degrees, 103 degrees, 153. Because like any normal fire, the heat is going up, not down. The fire that blew through the concrete floor of the parking garage was clearly directed down and extremely hot. So, how hot does a fire have to be to melt concrete? Well, first let's find out what is the temperature of a lithium-ion fire. Okay. And we see that it's temperature of a lithium battery fire, and it's 3,632 degrees Fahrenheit, or approximately 2,700 degrees hotter than what 2,700 degrees hotter than the hottest temperature that we can record here. So that's 2,000 degrees Celsius. All right, 3,632 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the melting temperature of concrete. What is the melting temperature of concrete? And the answer here is between 1,150 degrees Celsius and 1,200 degrees Celsius. And then they threw in here the melting temperature of carbon steel is 1,425 degrees Celsius, and between 1,425 and 1,540 degrees Celsius. Okay, so in other words, it is impossible for an open air gasoline fire to melt concrete, but it's a snap for a lithium ion, because a lithium fire burns much hotter than the melting temperature of concrete. Okay, so now what caused this parking garage collapse? What caused the floor, the ceiling, and the level of that parking garage to collapse in this huge fireball? There's only one thing that could have done it, and that's a burning lithium ion battery. But they'll never tell you that. The official story is that it was a diesel. It was a diesel Range Rover that lit up. They leave out the word hybrid. Look at the pictures. Go to Range Rover's site. Go look at where they stick that battery. Look at where the fire is on that Range Rover that's on fire, and you tell me. So it doesn't end with just that one incident. These things happen all the time. So I start to see that this is a trend, because when there's a fire involving a hybrid, they'll always leave out that it was a hybrid. They'll say it was a gasoline-powered vehicle, it was a diesel-powered vehicle. They never throw the word hybrid in there. And here's a perfect example of that. This is just so ridiculous. So while I'm looking at videos concerning the Luton Airport fire and Range Rovers and all of that, I come across this one by the Electric Viking, a guy called the Electric Viking. And he's talking about the Luton fire and saying, yes, it was a diesel that caused this fire. It wasn't an EV, it was a diesel. And then he shows a video, a clip of a transporter carrying Ford pickup trucks. And in the middle of the transporter, there's a pickup truck that has its bed on fire. Okay? The bed of the pickup truck, underneath the bed of the pickup truck is on fire. Spontaneously combusted. This thing is off. It's being transported. It's just heading down the highway and it's bursting into flames. Gasoline and diesel do not spontaneously combust. Period. The end. Lithium-ion batteries do. But in this video, in this clip, when describing this clip, the Electric Viking says that, oh, well, these are gasoline trucks going down the road. No, they were gasoline hybrids. Because if you bother to look at where Ford puts the battery in their hybrid F-150, it's under the bed, above the rear axle, exactly where this truck spontaneously combusted as it was going down the road. And there are dozens of examples of transporters going up in flames. So these cars are off. They're just being moved from one destination to another. They're going down the road on a truck and poof, they all go up in flames. How does this happen? Gasoline does not spontaneously combust, neither does diesel. Lithium-ion batteries do. They're all lying. It's an industry built on lies. The media, okay, you want to see an even crazier example of this? You want to see an even crazier example of this? You can do a simple Google search. Watch this one, okay? Watch this one. So, I asked the question, how many electric cars have caught fire? And here's the answer. This is the #1 answer on a Google search. How many EVs catch fire? With an average of 16 EV and hybrid fires per year, there's a 1 in 38,000 chance of fire. 1 in 38,000, only 16 EVs and hybrids a year catch fire. This is from Motor Trend. This is the ass clowns at Motor Trend. Now, when people go searching for this information, they go for the headline. Okay, oh, how many EVs catch fire? Oh, 16 a year. Oh, okay. Yeah, try again. It's like 16 a week, and it happens all over the world. And there are new videos of these things catching fire and burning down dealerships. There was a Ford dealership, an F-150 went up, a Lightning, woof, right, took it out. Just a couple of days ago, there was a Tesla fire, Tesla dealership up in flames. This happens all the time. But according to Motor Trend, according to Google, the #1 search is that there's only 16 of them that happen a year. All right, well, I did what most people won't do, and I went and bothered to read the story. And as it turns out, the information that Motor Trend used for this story, the number that they came up with, the 16 per year, comes from a Swedish study that was done on Swedish cars between 2018 and 2022. And that's what they found. In Sweden, there was an average of 16 EV and hybrid fires a year during that period of time. Okay, that's one country, one slice of it. They're not talking about the world. There are 16 EV fires a day in places like China. These things are sparking up all over the world, but you don't hear that. All of the numbers are skewed. The media, the EV media, and I didn't really want to, but I've started to really do a deep dive into this stuff, and I'm watching these shows. I'm seeing the Electric Viking, this Motor Trend show, The Inevitable, right? Fully Charged. I'm seeing all of these shows, and I'm seeing the same thing over and over and over again. It's based on false equivalencies. It's based on skewed facts. It's based on out-and-out lies. So it's not just that EVs catch fire. Internal combustion engine cars catch fire also. It happens all the time, but they do it in completely different ways. The difference is, on a gasoline or a diesel-powered vehicle, when the ignition is off, there's only microvolts flowing through the system to keep the car's various computers alive. There's no real amperage. There's no way that that little bit of voltage could start a fire. Every circuit that's in these cars is fused. So if there's a dead short someplace, the fuse will pop. The only way that an internal combustion engine car can catch fire when it's just sitting there with the ignition off is if somebody really doctored with it, really wired around stuff, really butchered the electrical system to bypass all of the fail-safes to keep them from catching fire. An internal combustion engine car cannot spontaneously combust. They have batteries, lead-acid batteries. Lead-acid batteries explode. Yes, they do. It's the hydrogen gas that comes off the top of a lead-acid battery that is explosive. But have you ever seen a lead-acid battery explode? Because when that hydrogen goes, it goes poof, and that's it. It's done. There's no duration to the flame. It doesn't last long enough to set anything around it on fire. You see what I'm saying? For a gasoline powered vehicle or diesel powered vehicle to catch fire going down the road. It has to be something that the exhaust would overheat, or it has to be a fuel spill of some sort. In other words, there has to be a dynamic function to the fire in an internal combustion engine car. Electric cars, completely different. They catch fire when they're in people's garages, they catch fire in people's driveways, whether they're being charged or they're just sitting there. They catch fire in transporters, they catch fire in dealers' lots, they catch fire in body shops, they catch fire everywhere. Nobody's around them, nobody's doing anything to them, and poof, they go up in flames. Spontaneous combustion, that's the problem. And of course, there's the ferocity, the difference in what it takes to fight a gasoline fire, an air-fueled gasoline fire, even if the whole car is involved, versus a lithium-ion fire. The fire departments, do you realize how much danger we put the fire departments, the responders in with these cars? Not only do you have the chance of electrocution if you're trying to get somebody out of one of these things, because once it starts fire, anything can happen. But then you've got all of the noxious gases. A lot of fire departments are like, oh no, just let it burn out. There's nothing you can do about it, just let it burn out. Some of them have containment devices. There's special containment devices for an electric vehicle fire because they will spark up days after they have a crash or the initial fire. They have to be quarantined. Do you realize how insane this is? And do you realize the lives that we're endangering? Not only that, but you talk about carbon footprints, right? What is the carbon footprint of a burning EV? The lithium ion, what is the chemical composition that a lot of departments, a lot of fire departments are like, well, the procedure is to let it burn out if it's possible. How much of that stuff is going up in the air? What are the toxins involved in this? This is absolute insanity. I could go on and on and on and on. But you get the general idea. The media, the pro-EV media or propaganda machine is well organized, well funded. I see it everywhere. And there's very few voices on our side. I want to say the voice of reason, but okay, that's up for debate. There's one guy, Jeff Buys Cars. It's like, I've watched a bunch of his videos. He's like single-handedly taking on the EV establishment. Keep up the good fight, brother. I'm coming to join you. So here's how I'm coming to join him. This is a challenge. I'm throwing this out to anybody who's in the EV media, the electronic vehicle media. I don't care if you're an independent YouTuber, or you work for one of the manufacturers, or one of the organizations like businesses like Motor Trend, or the government. You're a spokesman for the, I don't care. I don't care who you are. If you're in the world of EVs and you're in the media end of things and you're putting out the facts, okay? You know what? Come on alive with me. Let's sit down for an hour or two and let's talk about the realities of EVs. Let's talk about all of these different aspects that you guys like to brush over and brush aside. The false equivalencies, early adopters. You're 125 years late to be an early adopter. There's so many aspects of this. I'm ready, willing, and able to take any of you on live, right? Take me up on it. You believe in your cause? Let's do it. It could be on your channel, it could be on my channel, it could be on somebody else's channel. I don't care. Let's get together and let's have an actual debate. Let's put the facts out there, the real facts. And let's let the public decide whether these things are truly the menace that they are. I can't even believe the government that these things are allowed to exist in their current form. And again, I'm not knocking the idea of electricity powering a vehicle. Don't confuse them. It's two different things. Having an electric powered vehicle versus the modern EV and the propaganda push by government and industry and media to shove this down everybody's throat when the world is not ready for it. That's what the problem is. Take me up on the challenge. I'm ready to go. Any of you. Drop something in the comments or send us an email at uncletonysgarage@gmail.com and let's get something set up. I'll see you tomorrow.